So good afternoon, all students, wherever you are. Welcome everyone to the Dhamma subject. Okay, today is Sunday, the 11th of February 2024. This is the third lecture or the third session of the Dhamma subject. If you missed the first two sections, so you just simply go back and learn from the YouTube that Luang Pi uploaded, and just let me know that you have learned. Listen to all of them. Honest to yourself, right? You join this class because you want to learn something. In order for you to understand the Dhamma and put into practice correctly, the first step is you must remember what you learn. If you don't remember what you learn, how can you practice? Not only correctly, practice completely too, right? We learn the first week about the Dhamma group 2, we learn Hiri Otappa, we learn Sati Sampachanya, we learn Khanti Suraja. They need to practice in pair. If you don't remember the name, if you don't remember the term, you don't understand each term and how they pair with each other, why the Buddha teach them like that, then the way we practice may be improper. That is why you may not see the result of the Dhamma that you practice. The Buddha said a long time ago, there are benefits of study Dhamma. Okay? First, you will hear something that you may never heard before in your life. Second thing, even though the thing that you learn today may be something that you learned already or heard before, you have a chance to relearn and to re-understand what you learned. You can always find something new in the same Dhamma topic that you learned before. And that is why it leads to the reason number 3. It will help clarify your doubt of whatever doubt you have with that particular Dhamma subject, even though you may have heard it before. And number 4, while you listen to the Dhamma, your mind is calm and relaxed. That's the nature of the Dhamma. You feel peaceful. We're not talking about something annoying, something troublesome, anybody. It's just something really beneficial for all of us. And the last one, to me, is the most important one, is it helps us to develop the right view toward our life, toward the nature, toward things around us. Because the Buddha once said, right view, having right view is the starting point of having good life and happiness. If you have the wrong view, your life will start walking down the wrong path. If you feel like alcohol is good, another person has the view that alcohol is bad. You see, these two persons will end up different places because of the view difference. So listening to the Dhamma help us to adjust the view. So the more you understand the Dhamma, you strengthen your view. You have confidence that I am practiced correctly. This is exactly what the Buddha wants me to know, and this is exactly the Buddha wants me to practice. So at least these are the 5 benefits that you will gain when you're listening to the Dhamma, wherever you have a chance, whoever you learn the Dhamma from. This will happen to you if you really open up your mind, your heart, try to understand what that particular Dhamma that you are studying or learning. Before we go to the third subject, the third lecture, let's start off with the 3-minute meditation first. So welcome everyone back to the session. That was about 4 minutes meditation. Let's start by recap what we learned in the first 2 weeks. Today is the third lecture of the Dhamma group 3. Okay, on Sunday 11 February. This is what we learned from the first week. Okay, we learned the Dhamma group 2, which talk about these 4 categories about the virtue of great assistance, sati and sampachanya, the virtue of to protect the world, hiri and ottappa, right? Moral shame and moral fear, the grateful dhamma, dhamma that make us beautiful, khanti and soraja, the patience and the gentleness, and the rare person that mentioned by the Buddha, Buppakari and Katanyu Kataveti. Okay, go back and relearn and familiar with the term. And most importantly, what we learn each week, do your best to try to connect the dot. Sati and Sampachanya will be using up to me, not just elementary, intermediate, or advanced Dhamma study, but Sati and Sampachanya is actually something that we need on a daily basis to live life happy. Without Sati, we will be careless, and with that carelessness lead to the danger of life. We can break precept, we can harm ourselves. Something like this. Try to connect the dot to see each Dhamma, how they support each other. And last week we learned about the triple gems, the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha gem. Get to know what they are and how they're important. Why these triple gem play the important roles as the core pillar for Buddhist communities. So you need to know that. And we also talking about the wholesome and unwholesome action that mentioned by the Buddha, because human being we are usually we commit the karma or we take action in 3 ways: through the body, through the speech, and through the mind. It can be positive or negative, wholesome or unwholesome action, body, speech, and mind. And you also need to know that too, because as we go through life, we want to be happy, and if we don't know what is considered good, what is considered bad, with the wrong view like this, we will end up suffering, and that is not good. And we also go deep to understand why that wrong behavior or unwholesome action, where did they come from? What would be the driving force behind those or such action? Why we have greed, why we want something that belong to someone else, why we get angry easily, why we don't understand the nature of things. And these are the things that behind the scene that the Buddha point to this, the kilesa or the defilements or the root cause of unwholesome. All the defilement in this world, if you track them down, you will coming down to these 3 cause they call the root cause of unwholesome: greed or lobha, hate or dosa, and delusion or moha. If we put them into the picture, this is how it look like. I'm just recap. Okay, you think of the poison tree, the root of the poison tree. The origin of everything come from this guy. This is the boss. The avijja is the big boss behind the scene, and the avijja produce lobha, produce dosa, and produce moha, and it's go on and on to become an all kind of behavior, all kind of wrongdoing based on these 3 major defilements. You think of the color, right? There are only 3 main color, the mother color. And when we mix 3 of them in a different degree, different amount, we get different shade of color. Can be many level of reddish, yellowish, brownish, like this. But they consider red, they consider brown, they consider green, but they come from a different amount of color that put together. Same thing when lobha mix with dosa, when lobha mix with moha, when moha mix with dosa. Like this, it become different degree of bad behavior that force us to take that action. We can say something bad, we can do something bad, we can even kill the animal, kill the mosquito, kill people, and because of this mental impurity that kept in human mind. So we need to understand this principle. Keep in mind that we can take action or do the karma in 3 ways: think, say, and do. Right? If you think good, say good, do good, that consider wholesome. If you think bad, say bad, do bad, that's come from the unwholesome root. either lopa, dosa, moha. That's the principle of this idea. And all of this is important because it's in us. The Buddha teach us to avoid doing bad, right? Continue doing good and purify our mind. And we need to know what is considered good, what is considered bad, and how can we purify our mind, which we will talk about it in this afternoon. Let's see if you can still remember what you learned last week through these 4 quizzes. The first one, which one is not true about the triple gems? The Dhamma refer to the teaching of the Buddha. The Sangha refer to the monk and nun who studied the Dhamma. The Buddha refer to the historical Buddha or the Buddha to be from Prince Siddhartha, and they are the core pillar of Buddhist communities. Correct, number C, right? What is not the characteristic of the Dhamma? Wow, everyone got it correct. Lead to the reduction of defilements, lead to the welfare and happiness for everyone, blameless and praised by the wise, lead to passion and not dispassion. It should lead to dispassion, not passion. This is incorrect. And the last one, what does it mean by purify one's mind? Sharing loving kindness, observing precepts, studying Dhamma. Purify one's mind is meditation. The real meaning of purify one's mind that the Buddha wants us to understand is how can you remove the defilement completely from your mind, greed, hatred, and delusion. And that's the idea of purify. Purify or purity point to the brightness of the mind that's being pure through the meditation practice. Okay. All right. For today, we will continue to the Dhamma Group 3, Part 2, which will covering the idea or the concept of punya and papa, or merit and demerit. This is one of the crucial principles of the teaching of the Buddha. What are they, why they're important, and how to deal with them, how to make merit, how to get rid of. Let's start from here. Last week we talked about the Dhamma. The Dhamma. What is the Dhamma? Hope you still have that understood in your mind. And the Buddha summarized his teaching in 3 things. If you don't remember anything, if you following this framework, okay, give up the bad thing. Whatever considered bad, don't do it. And continue to do the good thing. Whatever considered good, please don't stop doing it. And most importantly, he said, purify one mind to up to the point where your mind is free from all defilements or those mental impurities. So these are the 3 frameworks, the instruction of the Buddha that we learned from last week. If you put the Dhamma into practice correctly, your life will be happy this moment onward until you reach Nibbana, or the highest happiness, right? That's the ultimate aim when someone walk down the path of following the teaching of the Buddha, to be free from defilements, to have a sustainable happiness. But as you walk down this path, you need to educate yourself. That's why it's called intensive self-development. To develop what? To develop precept, to develop the mind, and to develop your wisdom over and over. Whether you are a monk, whether you are lay people, you walk down this path. The Dhamma has 3 levels, which we talked about it last week. Today, I like to just elaborate a little bit. There are 3 levels, right? To understand, to practice, and to realize. If you look at this picture, these are the level of Dhamma. The first thing is called pariyatti. Pariyatti, study, right? You need to know what it is first. Then you can put into practice. If you don't know, then you cannot practice. That's the first step. Okay, now we come to pariyatti. We study, we learn. But the Buddha suggests you don't stop there. You need to put what we learn into practice. That's why it's called patipatti. Patipatti means practice. Is that all? No. Your goal is to practice yourself until you realize that Dhamma that you practice is called pativeta. There are 3 levels. Why is important? This is something that many Dhamma students, they don't have this clear picture. Some people only study the theory, the principle. Just like you keep growing the root, you grow the apple tree, You just work on the root. You expand more root. You read a lot, memorize a lot. You go through all the sutra. You memorize them all. But you don't practice. You will not get a taste of the apple or the taste of the Dhamma. There are many people like that in the Buddha time that's condemned by the Buddha himself. Oh, I know all the Dhamma. If you know all the Dhamma, why you behave like this? Why you are selfish? Why you still breaking precept? That's not the idea of a person who understands the Dhamma. Pariyatti is important. You need to work on the root first, then the apple tree can grow, right? When you put Dhamma into practice, then the Dhamma start to grow. When you observe precept, you start to feel good. You start to have more friends. You start to have less worry. Now you get the trunk, you get the leaf of that apple tree. And if you keep on observing precept, no matter how difficult life hit you, you will not break precept. Then you will get to realize the importance of precept. That means you get a taste of the apple that you're supposed to have because you grow apple tree. And this is the taste of liberation or the taste of freedom. When someone practice Dhamma, the Dhamma will protect you from all suffering or bad thing. You will get to the sense of freedom if you practice the Dhamma correctly. This is the highest benefit when someone practice the Dhamma. No matter how much problem you have, the COVID-19, business doesn't go well, you will not cheat on your customer. Your integrity is very high. That you have developed the right view toward the Dhamma that you practice. You understand the law of karma. You understand the consequence. That is why you don't break precept. You also have hiri, feel shame of doing bad. You also have ottappa, fear of the consequence. If I cheat on my customer, it doesn't do any good to my business in the long run. You have sati, you have sampachanya, you have patience, you have soraja, right? Khanti and soraja. You see all the Dhamma will come together like this. So don't just study the sutra. Don't just memorize the text. Put into practice. Today you learn loving kindness. Put loving kindness into practice. Today you learn forgive how to forgiveness, and then do your best to practice forgiveness and feel the taste of forgiveness. When someone did something bad to you and you forgive, how do you feel when you really forgive that person that did something bad to you? This is the Dhamma, 3 level. Today we're going to learn the concept of merit and demerit, bun and bab. The starting point of this concept has to start from here because merit and demerit, papa and punya, reside in human mind. If we just go ahead and read from the books, right, we may get confused because they don't give us the foundation of where this thing come from. How do they affect us? The nature of human life, we have body and the mind. Everyone seems to know that. And do you know that both body and mind, they have defilements, they have disease. We can call them a disease. The body has 6 kind of diseases that mentioned by the Buddha. These are the 6 diseases: cold, heat, hunger, thirst, urination, defecation. There is no one day, the moment that we born up until this moment, until the day we die, that this disease will stop harming us. They're happening every day. We have to eat, we have to drink, we have to put the clothes on, we have to urinate, we have to defecate. Nobody can stop this. It's like a routine disease that come with us the day we born until the day we die. If we don't treat our body properly, we will get sick, we falling ill, and it creates all kind of bad habits that come from not understanding the nature of your physical body. This is how clever of the Buddha. He mentioned this long time ago. And not only that, he also discovered that in the mind, there also a disease, the mental impurities. These are the 3 viruses that reside in human mind. We cannot see them, but we can feel them. How do we know that we have greed? How do we know that greed take control of our mind? Oh, we feel hungry. We feel wanting something that we may not need it. How do you know that hatred or anger control your mind? You have heat in the body. Your heart start beating fast. When you're getting mad, right? Your face turn red. Now you know, oh, I have this virus. The angriness is working on my mind. Same thing in delusion. You don't know which decision is good. You don't know what to go left or to go right. When we having a fever, right? How do you know we have fever? We have a symptom. There's a temperature in the body, there's a running nose. That means something wrong inside the body. Then we go see the doctor. Then you get the prescription, you get medicine, you take a rest. Then that fever, that running nose disappear. Same thing. Now we know that there are these three viruses that reside in our mind, and they will take control our mind. And there's a criteria to know that now this is the anger guy is running my life. Now the greed guy, now the delusion guy is running my life. Then we find a way to deal with it. So punya and merit and papa or demerit, they are inside the human mind, which I will elaborate further. So human mind has three root of defilements. We learned already. We have greed, we have anger, delusion. All of them, they come with us the moment that we born. It is said when we die, the body die, the mind doesn't die. Whatever in the mind is go to the future life. If this life you purify your mind, you lessen the defilements. You have developed a good quality of mind. This good quality of mind will go with you in the future life. If this life you never come to the teaching of the Buddha, you have no idea what they are. You keep on breaking precept. Those bad quality of your mind that you cultivate will also go with you in the future life. You may be born with a guy who always cranky, get mad easily, like to have violence, like to do things bad all the time, because that's the quality of your mind that you develop by yourself in the previous life. How come someone born with a good mind, good thinking, have a right view? When he born, he just want to give, he just want to forgive, he doesn't want to argue. Like this, want to meditate, want to go to the temple. That's the quality of the mind. And I was asked by one of the students that come to ordain, he said, Long Pi, what exactly that we can take with us after we die? He doesn't know much about Buddhism. And my answer was, this is it. The only thing that you can take with you after you die is the quality of your mind that you have been developed or cultivate in your whole life. There are many levels of purity that you can work on your mind. From pure, purer, and purest. It's up to you. If you keep on working on your mind, that's the only thing that you can take with you. Not the money, not possession, not houses, not cars that you have accumulate your whole life. The more you accumulate, the more you have to leave them behind. That's how the Dhamma works, right? And the thing is, the mind accustomed to defilement, just like the fish accustomed to the water. And this is quite deep because, number one, how many people in this world know that the mind has defilements? We don't. We were born with ignorance. We don't know what we don't know. We don't know much about the mind. We know something about the body, but we know a little about the mind. We seem to know that the mind exists, but we have no idea where they are, what size, what shape, what color, what's in the mind. And the Buddha is the mind expert. He explained the mind from inside out. And that is why he said, this mind is radiant, but it's corrupted by the passing corruption. This point to the defilement. And the defilement has something to do with the papa or the demerit that we are about to talk about it today. And the Buddha said, oh, the mind is radiant. Radiant come in the sense of luminous, brightness, right? But this quality of the mind which is radiant has been corrupted by the passing defilements. You see, sometimes you have a good mood, right? And all of a sudden someone says something bad. Your mood change, you're getting mad. Because of this passing corruption, this defilement, this anger. The anger, they're already there, but they just wait for the trigger. When there's a stimuli coming to the mind give the meaning, oh, this guy says something bad to me. Now anger start to take control of that calm and radiant mind. It become an angry mind, the mind with heat. You have to say something, you have to do something with that person. So you lost the clarity of the mind. This is what I like. When someone asks, why should we meditate? And this is my answer. If you are a Dhamma student, you should know this too. We don't just meditate to relax the mind. We meditate for the deeper purpose than that. The mind is luminous and it can be free. It can be free. This is a good news. It can be free from what? From the passing defilements. The wise person understand this. Understand what? Understand the nature of the mind. As it really is, therefore, for him, there is a mental development. This is bhavana. What is bhavana? Bhavana means develop. Develop what? In this case, develop the quality of the mind through the meditation practice. You see, that's why we should meditate to work on, to lessen the defilement in the mind, to maintain the state of calm, clear, and bright mind. Now we come to this idea of merit and demerit, punya or papa. You think of the shirt, right? This shirt is clean, nice, ready to be used. The quality of the shirt, right, is bright, clean, ready to be used. We want to use the clean clothes. Oppositely, this is dirty. The quality of these clothes is dirty. We cannot separate cleanliness from the clothes. We cannot separate dirtiness from the clothes. If the clothes is the mind, this is the clean mind, right? And all of a sudden, like I said, someone says something bad, anger start take control the mind, and your mind, instead of being calm, being clean, being clear, your mind get dirty because of the anger that take control your mind. This is the idea of punya or papa. Punya or papa is the quality of the mind. This is for us to easier to understand this, the idea of merit and demerit, punya or papa. You need to understand that hey, they are the quality of the mind, that they reside in the mind. Punya point to something that's clean, calm, bright, clear, in that direction. Papa or something that dirty, something unwholesome. You think of sin, you think of wrongdoing. There's a lot of things that there's a lot of terms that can be used. Okay, and start from the merit first. The merit concept of punya. This is the Pali. Punya means merit, and to me, merit is superficial. There always the challenge when it comes to translate Pali into English. For the West, the word merit doesn't come with the strong sense of something good. Merit can be the good action, just like you pick up the garbage on the floor. That's considered merit. But for Buddhist people, merit is more than that. When someone make merit, they feel joy, they feel elation, they feel lively, they feel so much positive energy. It's not just like I'm picking up the garbage. It's more than that. The first characteristic of merit or punya, I like you to think of the cleansing factor, the washer that can be washed the bad thing or the dirtiness from our mind. You think of the detergent. If you do the dishes without the detergent, the oily stuff, the dirty stuff that stick on the plate may not be removed completely. So you need to apply the right amount of the washing detergent, right? Then the dish can be clean. That's the idea. It's like the cleansing factor. Okay, literally punya means cleansing. From Pali to English, cleansing. Think of the water. It's clean the dirtiness. When we take shower, we use the water and the shampoo and the bath cream to clear and clean the body from the dirt. And the second idea of merit is it you happiness. It you happiness. Every time you do merit, right away you feel good. You feel happy. And every time you think of it, even though it happened for a very long time, you can still feeling good. Sometimes you can be joyful without there's no reason. You just close your eye and think of last week, last month you help a person to give them food or support them, whatever it is, and you see them again. Say, oh, how are you doing? And you see the benefit of the giving, that you support them, that you feel joy, you feel happy. That was the sample of the person that I know. He is the boss. And in Thailand, during the time of Katina, people usually ask for donation, right? Just send out the envelope, ask for donation. And one of his employee came to him and give him envelope. He, as the boss, he received many envelope already today. And the guy happened to be the last person. The boss was very, not mad, but he get cranky about people just give me envelope. That means I have to give money to them. So he didn't know what to do. He just put like 20 baht, 100 baht into the envelope. He didn't even pay attention what that money is for. what donation for, and he forgot. After few years, that employee came back and showed him the picture. Boss, this is the chapel that you donate 2 years ago. I give you the envelope and you give me 100 baht. And now the chapel finished. Now people go and make merit over there. The boss was shocked. Said, wow, I didn't know. What did I do? If I know that you will build the chapel, this money will go to the temple to build the chapel. I probably donate more. It's always bring happiness because it's considered a good thing. That's the character of punya. And the third character of punya is called the pure energy. You can think of punya as the energy, the pure and clean energy. The more the merrier, the more the better. The energy come and keep in the mind. The mind is like the battery, right? You just plug into the source of happiness, and that happiness will keep coming back to your body and keep in your mind. It's a pure energy. Even though that action happened long time ago, like the example I just mentioned, 2 years, but the guy still remember, oh, this money go to build a temple. And when he think of that, that energy come back even more. He feel happier. So every time you do the merit doesn't go away. It keeps in your mind, and you think of it. It brings joy and happiness. It's a pure energy. And that's the idea of the punya. And there are many terms that call punya. It's difficult to find a term in English to explain one's Pali vocabulary. That is why when you read the text, you may come across a lot of terms, but the idea is the same. Okay, like in this case, there's the brightness, the good deeds, the wholesomeness, the virtue, the goodness, the purities, the moral acts, the cleansing, the happiness, the righteousness. They're all kind of terms that you can think of, which may confuse you. There may be many terms to call punya or merit. But all of this, they have the same common sense, which is the sense of purity, the sense of goodness. You can call it whatever it is. At the end, when you track it down, you feel good. You feel yourself better. You feel purer. You feel happier. That's why it's called the positive or the pure energy. This is the idea of punya. And the Buddha said in one teaching in the Metta Sutta, he said, monk, don't fear good deeds, don't fear punya. For punya is a term for happiness, for what is likable, desirable, and agreeable. That's the definition of punya. It's the term for happiness. If you do things that you don't break precept, you keep precept, you meditate, you study Dhamma, this considered the punya. And that punya make you happy, right? Bring happiness to you. And one should practice only good deeds. That means one should do punya, whose happy outcome straight ahead. So when you do punya, happiness is there. Giving is one thing. Moral conduct or the sila is the second thing. Developing the mind of love, sharing loving kindness is another thing. This also the way of creating punya in this particular teaching. But today we're going to summarize how many ways that a man can create punya. It's called the punya kiriya vatu, the way that we can create punya. That's one of the topic that we'll be covering today. This is the idea. How can we know that punya happened? How do we know that this is the merit that happening in the mind, right? When we plug in this light cable into the power outlet and we turn on the switch and we get the light, but we don't see electricity that run into that wire, but we see the light. If there is no electricity, then there is no light. Same thing when you do the merit. When you give something to someone and you don't expect that anything in return, the feeling of giving something to someone and you see the joy, the happiness of the person that received the gift that you give, that's the energy I'm talking about. It's a pure energy. But we don't see, we cannot touch, we don't know where is the merit. But we know that something happening in the mind in that moment. Feeling so good, so joy, so happy. of that act that I just did by giving food to that beggar or the person, or offering this meal to the monk. So happy, so joyful. That's the idea of how do we know that merit happens. It's happening like this. It's the energy. That's why sometimes it's called the energy, right? What about the papa? The concept of the demerit. Papa is a Pali term, and English translate to the demerit. The first characteristic of the papa, you think of dirtiness. Something dirty, something is not good. It's crowded the mind. It lessens the good quality of the mind, and it's you the suffering. When papa or this negative energy happens, you always have suffering here and there, more or less. It's considered an impure energy. The more, it's not the more the merrier. The more you have this negative energy or impure energy, the more suffering you become. Think of the more agitation that you have, right? If the same example, if the guy says something bad to you, you think that you are mindful, you okay, right? Okay, I don't say anything bad to him, but deep down you feel irritated. Tomorrow you see him again, and he say the same thing again. Oh, you are a bad person, and now you're getting angrier. The intensity of angry is more than yesterday. And you see him again, okay, you mindful, you don't say something bad, you be patient, you practice khanti soraja, and then see him again next week, he say the same thing to you again. This time you get mad. You see, level of energy has changed from being mindful, from being okay, controllable, now it's uncontrollable. You have to do something. You have to say something and do something for that person who keeps saying something bad to you. There are many levels to it. So it's like an energy. And if time goes by, maybe you forgive him already, and you don't see him for 5 years. And all of a sudden, you see the man walk down the street. The moment that you see him, the first thing that comes to your mind is, hey, this guy said something bad to me 5 years ago. And that's impure energy come back to you in this very moment. From being happy, from being calm, all of a sudden, those clarity of mind, those happiness that you have, suddenly gone because you recall those negative energy that this guy did to you 5 years ago. You see, nothing get lost, good, bad, not good, not bad. It keeps in the mind. There are many terms that use when it's come to explain the word papa in Pali. Usually we use the word demerit. But again, what it means by demerit, right? Still have to translate. All of this, point to the bad thing, right? Sinful, bad, weak, corrupted, wrongdoing, cruelty, dullness, dirty, unwholesome crime. All of these point to the word papa. Try to explain the word papa. There may be many terms to call the word papa, but all of these words come in the same common sense, similar to the word merit or punya. If anything feel dirty, feel corrupted, unclear, that most likely that's the energy of papa. And I'll explain to you a little bit more in a moment. But before we go further, this is what people usually confuse. In some other teaching, there is the word sin used very often. And sometimes Buddhist scholars translate the word papa into sin too. So when you read the text, you may come across the word sins appears in the Buddhist text in English, which sometimes if you still have that understanding of the sins from other religions, from other doctrine, then you may get confused. According to the dictionary, sins mean the offense or breaking of religions or moral law. If you break precept, you got sin. Sin is here, right? This is sin. But sin, again, Buddhism we call papa. We call papa or demerit. What's come with sin by default, we usually think of something called confession. And this is big difference between other religions and Buddhism. When you think of confession, what happens if you did something wrong in your life? You see in the movie, right? A man kills someone and go to the church and ask forgiveness from the Father, and he has been forgiven. Sin has been removed just by opening up what you did to someone. This is considered confession. But this is what the meaning of sin and confession in Buddhism is not. The student of Dhamma must understand what it means by sin. If you hear the word sin, you need to think of, hey, can sin be removed? Can this papa be removed too? So your understanding will be more complete, not just know, oh, this is bad. But can this bad thing be removed? That's the question. And here is the answer from the Buddha himself. The Buddha, he talked to this monk, this Brahmin, the Bakula. He said, Khaya, these are the name of the river. Khaya, Suntarika, Pakhaya, Sarasati, and the Pahumpati. This is the stream. This is the name of the river in Pali. All full, a fool, may there forever bath, yet will not purify dark deeds. What can Sandarika and Pakaya and Pakula and Pahuka, what can they do? They can cleanse a cruel and criminal person from their bad deeds. That's what the Buddha mentioned. That's what the Buddha teach. So the bad deeds cannot be removed. This is something about the mind. The mind keeps everything. Good, bad, not good, not bad. It's like a huge hard disk that will never get full. Every lifetime that we born, everything that we say, every picture that we see, every action that we did will be kept in the mind. Will be kept in the mind. And we don't know that. We don't know how the mind works. And the Buddha continued to explain. And if you speak no lying, no harm, any living creatures, no steal, not steal anything that not belong to you, and you are faithful and not stingy, what's the point of going to Kaya? For any well may be your Kaya. Basically, if you do something good, what's the point of going to the river? What's the point of drinking the water from that river? You don't have to. You cannot jump or plug yourself into the river, take a bath, and come up clean. It doesn't work like that. The law of nature doesn't work like that. And this is something that you can use as the criteria when you're not sure whether this thing is merit or punya, or this thing is demerit or papa, right? Because there are energy, pure energy and impure energy. If something that you do that lessen the crowded of the mind, that bring the mind toward the wholesome quality, that is called punya. Oppositely, if something that you're about to do crowded the mind, and for sure, when you think of it, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, or for the rest of your life, it will crowded the mind. It brings suffering to your mind. That is called papa or demerit. Now you have the criterion to check. Just keep it simple. If something clear and bright, that's the punya. Something dark and crowded, that's the papa. So clear and bright is the criteria of good thing, of the good mind. Crowded and dark is the quality of mind that's being contaminated by the defilements. This picture may help to understand how these bad things and the good thing works, right? So we said sin cannot be removed, and what do we do? I did bad thing a lot, I break precept all the time, and now I just come to the teaching of the Buddha. What should I do? You drink of this water. This pure water is drinkable because it's pure, it's clean, right? There's no taste in the clean water. But if you add the spoon of salt into the water, the glass of water, and you drink it, now this water will taste salty. The taste will be salty. Then you cannot drink. It's too salty because of there's the salt in the water. This is the idea. The water is a punya or merit. The salt is the papa or demerit. Now you mix them together with the almost the same amount. Then this merit is being contaminated by the demerit. The water becomes salty. You cannot drink. But if you put this glass of water, which is very salty, put into the water tank, the big water tank, then you drink water from this tank. Do you still feel salty? No, right? You don't feel salty because this much of salt has been diluted into the tank. Is there more water than the salt itself? So now you don't even notice that there is a salt in the water because too much water this help dilute the salt already. In fact, the amount of salt in this tank still remain the same. It doesn't get removed. It's still there, but you don't feel it. That means the demerit or the bad deeds that we did in the past, even though we cannot remove it, but if we stop adding the salt into our life, we just add more water into it. Even though the bad thing, the bad energy is still there, it cannot take action. It cannot take action because they have too much of pure energy inside your mind. And your job is to do what? Once you know this concept, your job is to stop adding salt into your life. Stop breaking precepts. Stop telling a lie. Stop harming others. Stop cheating on your spouse. You stop adding salt into your life, and then you continue add more of the water by making merit into your life, which we will talk today. How can we make merit? What's the idea of making merit? That the Buddha teach us to do, right? So you need to keep this picture in mind because, like I said, whatever you do cannot get lost. What you say, what you do, what you think will keep in your mind. And in one day, we do something good, we do something bad all the time. You think of yourself today, from this morning that you wake up until this moment that you're listening to the Dhamma class, you join the Dhamma class. What is the quality of your mind? What did the mind had gone through? Wholesome, unwholesome, getting mad, lustful mind, fearful mind, sleepy mind. The mind, they always have to think, always have to go after something all the time. Good, bad, not good, not bad. This is very important. Each day before you go to bed, you need to check whether today you win or lose. If the quality of the mind is shift toward merit, positive than negative, that day you win. If oppositely is more negative than positive, that day you lose. So tomorrow fix it. You need to work on your mind on the daily basis by being mindful, sati, sampachanya. Be patient if someone says something bad, right? Khanti, solacha, hiri, otapa. Develop the fear of doing bad. Develop the fear of the consequence of doing bad. You see, whatever we learn, we can connect them together. That's something the Dhamma student should right away put into practice. Tonight, before you go to bed, you check whether today you okay or not. Is your mind in this quality more than this one or not? Or opposite? If it's opposite, tomorrow fix it. Don't let it happen. Don't go to bed with the agitated mind, with getting mad to someone. You need to learn how to forgive, how to forget. You need to sleep with a happy mind. This is very important practice. Number one, you may not know whether you will wake up tomorrow or not. I'm not trying to scare you, but this is the truth, the Dhamma that the Buddha teach. We may not know whether we will wake up tomorrow or not. So we deserve to go to bed happily with a pure and good mind. Cultivate the mind that way. To forgive, to forget, to let go and go to bed. Have the body and mind rest fully. If the problem can be fixed, fix it tomorrow. If it cannot be fixed, get over it. Learn how to deal with it. Then move on with your life. That's the habit that you should be cultivating. Okay? And there may be many color here, but again, it's not complicated. We human being, we committed karma in three ways. We think, we say, and we do. Right? If you think good, this one, if you think good, you gain merit. Your mind is clear. Your mind is happy. But if you think bad, again, it leads to suffering. You clouded your mind. You lessen the quality of the mind. Same thing. If you say something good, you create merit in the mind. If you say something bad to someone, you're telling a lie, whatever it is, you create demerit or papa or the negative energy in your mind. If you do something good, same thing, you create merit. You accumulate the positive energy or you develop the quality of the mind through what you do. If you do something bad, again, you lessen the quality of the mind. You create papa or the negative energy into your mind. That's how merit and demerit that happen in our life. And each day, you need to check how many merit, and demerit that you have done from what you think, from what you say, and from what you do. Why making merit is so essential? Why the Buddha emphasized this? There is a law of karma that the Buddha discovered, right? And the law of karma somehow involved with this principle of merit and demerit. Still remember this picture we learned last week about the vicious circle? The kilesa or the defilements, greed, hate, delusion, and the ignorance or avijja force us to do action to commit the karma. And with that karma that we have done, will save in the mind, and it eventually will yield the result. Okay, it's like the cycle like this that never ended. Kilesa force us to do the karma, and that bad karma will take action and will yield the result in the future. Next week, next month, next lifetime, we cannot run away from what we did. If your action drive by these defilements, of course your life will end up suffering. Suffering now, suffering next week, suffering next life. It depends on how much water that you have in the tank of your life. This one. Some of you born perfect, born rich, born highly educated, born in a good family. That means it implies that you have accumulated a lot of merit in the previous life. But you may have done something wrong, something bad in your life before, but they're not many. That is why this negative energy cannot take effect yet. But it will if you just keep on draining that water out of your life. Stop making merit. Start breaking more precept. Then eventually the demerit or the papa energy will grow and you will end up suffering for sure. Will happen. Making merit is important. We will learn how to make merit and we will see why it's important. This is the answer. According to the law of karma, right? If you do good, you get good. If you do bad, you get bad. If you do things drive by defilement, you will end up suffering. You will end up dukkha, more problem in your life because it's driven by an unwholesome root, greed, hatred, and delusion. So the punya is the merit, and the merit can be done three ways. You may hear the word three bases of merit making or the merit action. Number one is through the giving or the dana. Number two is through the observing precept or the sila. And number three is through the developing the quality of the mind through the meditation. And this is something that I like you to keep in mind if there are too much information to memorize. This is how the merit and the demerit work. This is how the punya attack the root cause of suffering, which is attack the root of unwholesome. The giving attack the lopa or the greed. If you have greed, you cannot give. You have stingy mind. You just cannot give. You're being selfish. Everything is for me and myself, my family, my company, me and my. No other in this world is important than me and myself. Sila, you attack the root cause of dosa or hate, because when you observe precept, you will not harm anybody. You being a harmless person wherever you go, wherever you are. You give the security to the world around you by observing precept. And when you practice meditation, it helps to regain the clarity of the mind. That's why it's attack the moha, the delusion. This is the big picture of how merit attack the defilements that reside in the mind. And how can we accumulate merit or punya? That's the question, right? If the punya is important, how do we make them? How do we accumulate them? I just briefly go through it, the three base of merit. The base of meritorious action or the punya kiriya wattu. Punya mean merit, kiriya mean action or make. Wattu mean the procedure or the methodology of how we can accumulate merit, which in the Tipitaka itself, it talk about the three base of merit, but in the commentary, in some other books, it's explained more, expand into 10 way of making merit, of how can we make merits. And these are the 10 items on the list. Number one, giving or the dana, danamaya. Second, the virtue or the sila, silamaya. And the third one is the mind development of Bhavana Maya. It's okay if this thing new to you, you're gonna have to relearn them anyway. Number 4 is honoring other. Number 5, offering service. See, helping others consider merit too. It's generate positive energy. Dedicating merit to others. Buddhism, we have the concept of making merit and dedicate the merit to someone we love that passed away too. And rejoicing in someone's merit. When someone do something good, we develop the mind, okay, to support that person instead of jealousy mind, having jealousy toward the someone that becomes successful. Maybe your friend get promoted, why you may think, oh, why not me? And then you have jealousy mind toward your friends. So we should rejoice when someone becomes successful, and that's again, it generates positive energy. It's considered merit. And number 8, listening to the Dhamma, Dhammasavanamaya, also merit. Why? I mentioned at the beginning that every time you listen to the Dhamma, your mind become pure. You have more understanding. It remove your doubt. That's why your mind become peace and calm, joyful and happy every time you listen to the Dhamma. And giving the Dhamma talk also consider merit. Like in this case, I share the teaching of the Buddha to you. I'm work on the number 9. You guys work on the number 8. You listening to the teaching of the Buddha from what I share with you. So we both gain merit. We're not talking about something bad. We're not talking about violence. We're not talking about corruption or anything. We're just talking about the Dhamma, something good, right? And number 10 is called the develop of the right view. Tittu Shukam. Develop the right view toward the teaching of the Buddha about the nature of life, about the truth of life, about how to live good life. These are the 10 ways of making merit. If this is too much, I group them into 3 groups. If you remember nothing, you just remember, okay, there are 3 ways to make merit. First, to give. Second, to observe precept. And the third is to meditate. That's it. But if you want to know, you can expand them into 10, from 3 to 10. From 10, shrink to 3 groups. Right? The giving, they are offering the service, also consider giving. Instructing, sharing, giving the Dhamma, also consider giving. Right? Dedicating merit to someone else, also consider giving. Sila, right? Sila is about body and speech, honoring someone, rejoicing someone merit. This consider the Sila. And the bhavana, the mind development, listening to the Dhamma, okay, adjust your will toward the teaching of the Dhamma, because Dhamma, bhavana lead to wisdom. That's why it's called bhavana maya panya, the wisdom that comes from meditation. So when you're listening to the Dhamma, you develop wisdom. When you adjust your will, you develop more wisdom of right understanding toward the Dhamma that you learn. Start from the first group. It's called giving. This is the first way to make merit. You give. What can you give? Number 1, you give the material things called amisadana, the material gift. You give food, you give your, if you don't have money, sometimes you go rendering your service. You help, clean the temple, you help someone without demanding for money in returns. You give from the bottom of your heart. You just want to help. That's the first thing. And the second thing that you can give is the gift of forgiveness. It's called abhayadana, the gift of forgiveness. You see, forgiveness can be one of the category of giving too. To me, this is difficult to practice. Forgiving someone who did something bad to you, if you can do that completely, that means the quality of your mind is superb, clear, pure, and bright. You think of the Buddha. Sometimes people say like, oh, loving kindness is easy to share, easy to do. But for me, this is one of the things that most difficult to do and to share loving kindness. You think of the Buddha. The Buddha once said, whether a man who tried to kill me and my son, these two person, one person, a person who want to kill me, and another person is my own son. My heart, my feeling toward both of them are equal. I love them equally. That's the mind of the Buddha. Can you love someone you love equal to someone that you hate? Ordinarily being, we cannot. We cannot. Because we have a defilements. We have moha. We have ignorance. We have delusion in the mind. But practice that. And number 3, you give the Dhamma. You give the wisdom. You give the Dhamma and you give the wisdom. If you know something good, you just share with people you love without expecting anything in return. If you know Dhamma, share the Dhamma. If you know how to live good life, share people how to live good life. Drag them back to the wholesome path. Don't let them walk down to the path of destruction. That's called giving. Okay, start from this, practice these three things. And what is the sila? How can we practice sila? Sila, you can think of start from the 5 precepts. That easy. 5 precepts. I hope you remember these five precepts. Okay, refraining from killing, refraining from stealing, refraining from sexual misconducts. Okay, be honest to your spouse, and refraining from false speech, refraining from intoxicating drink and drugs that crowded your mind. Start from here. When someone observing precept, you lessen worry in your mind. When you look at yourself today, if you did not break any precept before you go to bed, you cannot find guilt in yourself. So the mind is free. When you meditate with that mind, your meditation most likely will be a good session. Peace, calm easily, no wandering thought, because the more you think of your precept, the more you proud of yourself, of your own action, body, speech, and mind all day long. And there are 3 levels of precept, which I will not go in detail. I just want to let you know that there are more than just the 5 precepts. They call the small section of precept or sila. You can think of the 5 precept as a lay person. This one, this is the starting point, okay, of the small section of precept. Start from here first and go from there. And the intermediate section, we start talking about the 8 precept, which we never talk about it. We haven't talked about it yet, right? Not yet. The 8 precept is for someone who want to purify themselves more than just 5 precept. 5 precept is for the regular lay people, husband and wife, spouse, right? But when someone observing precept, they detach themselves from the sense pleasure world. There's no sensual activities. They have minimal living condition, no make, no mark, no cosmetic, no perfume, no dress up, no nothing. Just live life very simple, coming down to the basic necessity of life and observe precept. And the last section of precept, now we're talking about the precept of the monk or the female monk or the novices, the precept of those who live life fully as a spiritual being. There are more rules for them to follow. It's difficult to practice. That is why not many people want to become a monk, because there's so many rules, right? I'm okay with 5 precepts. They stay there, live life comfortably as a lay person. So they stay at the lowest level of precept that they can practice. And from time to time, they observe 8 precept. And from time to time, that man maybe wants to become a monk for 1 month or 3 months, okay, and then go back down again to the lay person life, observe 5 precept, which is okay. This is okay. So you gain merit. And the last one is bhavana or meditation. These days, people seem to know meditation, but 100 years ago, meditation was something suspicious to what it is, what exactly that a man do when he closes his eye. People don't know what it is and have doubt when it's come to practice meditation. But these days, it's become normal. People seem to know what it is. It's become mainstream. When we talk about meditation, everyone meditate. It depends which meditation technique that you use and why you meditate. The reason may be different, but people seem to know what is meditation. In Buddhist, there are 2 kind of meditation in Buddhism, but usually they call the bhavana. The mind development is called bhavana. Bhavana means to grow, to cultivate, to develop. If you never observe precept, you start observe precept. Now we call the sila bhavana. You start develop your precept. If you never meditate, never train the mind, when you come to practice meditation, we call the mind citta bhavana. You start develop the quality of the mind. If you don't know about the teaching of the Buddha, you come to learn the Dhamma, you develop panya. We call the panya bhavana. To grow, to cultivate, to make it happen. And there are 2 kind of bhavana, 2 kind of meditation. The first is called samatha bhavana. Second is called vipassana bhavana, which we will not go in depth. Just want to let you know if there are 2 kind of meditation practice in Buddhism. Samatha bhavana is the meditation that help calm the mind. There are many techniques. When you meditate this way, it help calm the mind. Whatever technique that you use, it help calm the mind down from hindrances. The mind become peaceful, clear and bright. You regain the clarity state of the mind. This is the good quality of mind. And then the second form of meditation is called vipassana bhavana, the meditation that lead to the insight and the liberation, which again there are details to this. We will learn about this later on. So there are two ways to practice meditation. Okay? And which one is most difficult to practice? What do you think? He said there are three ways of making merit, right? This picture, I want you to combine what we learned so far. The instruction of the Buddha said, stop doing bad, doing good, and purify your mind, right? And then it will lead you to Nibbana, lead you to the path of wholesomeness, happiness. And now we learn the way of making merit. And we summarize there are three ways of making merit. The first one is called dana. We give material gift, we give our labor, we give our wisdom, right? We also do forgiveness. All of this create punya or merit. And then we observe precept. When we observe precept, we stop harming others, we stop harming ourselves. So the mind become the state of free from worry, free from guilt. And that's the good quality of the mind. That's why there's a merit happen when we observe precept. And then the last one, we meditate to calm the mind down, to cleanse the mind from mental impurities. All of this create merit or punya. Dana is easy to do, right? You have money, you give. You have food, you give. You have gift, you give. Sila is more difficult because you need to understand the benefit of sila. You need to force yourself not to say something bad, not to do something bad. You need to have more mindfulness and consciousness to observe precept. It's more difficult. But the last one, meditation. Meditation doesn't cost anything. You can do it anywhere, anytime. However, this thing considered the most difficult thing to do. The most difficult thing to do. When people sit 5-10 minutes, they just want to leave. It's nothing fun, nothing joyful. See nothing. It's only the darkness. I don't hear anything. I don't see anything. I don't feel anything. I don't even feel that my mind has become brighter and calmer. So just quit. You don't see the result. Okay, it's probably the most difficult thing to do. But again, when it's come to cultivating merit, you need to know that there are three ways. Okay, you give, you observe precept, and you continue to practice meditation. Then you gain more merit every day, and make sure you combine them together. Okay, don't just giving without observing precept. Don't just observing precept and giving without practice meditation. You need to practice them all together, and this will lead to Nibbana. All of this. You stop doing bad, you continue doing good, and you purify your mind. You practice them completely. Then where can you go, right? You're on your way to be success, to be happy, to achieve Nibbana. Okay, perfect timing. And these are some of the vocabulary that we learned today. Let's just go back and relearn. We learned the word punya, or the merit, the goodness, the positive energy, whatever makes sense to you. Okay, something good, something pure, something bright. The papa or the demerit, something bad, something that crowded your mind. The sila or the precept, the virtue, the moral conduct. The dana, the giving, how many kind of giving, what kind of thing that we can give, what kind of thing that we should not give. You see, the Buddha go in detail when it's come to his teaching. He wants his student to fully understand how to put them into practice. But today we did not cover that. And the bhavana, to grow, to develop. In this case, let's keep it simple, to practice meditation to purify your mind. The kilesa or the defilements, we talk about greed, hatred, delusion, go back and understand them. And the karma or the action, okay? Karma is not always the negative action. Karma is neutral, can be positive and negative. You can do good, you can do bad. You can say good, you can say bad. You can think good, you can think bad. The samatha is the meditation that help calm the mind down. And vipassana meditation is the meditation that lead us to the insight or the right understanding of this nature, these five aggregates, this law of three characteristics of anicca, dukkha, anatta. I hope today you learned something new, and please go back and relearn and try to see if you can connect Dhamma that we learned from the first session up to this session together, and you link them and you put them into practice together. If anything you not understand, it's my job to find the answer for you. Hope everyone's okay for today's lecture. We will continue next Sunday. Please stay safe, stay happy, and put everything you learn into practice. We'll pay